What's going on, guys? This is going to be our Venom, Let There Be Carnage non-spoiler, and we're going to do our spoiler talk as well and let you guys know everything and what we thought about this film. Now, Jason and I did review the first film. If you have not checked that out, go check out that review. It's going to be under the description. Also, you'll see it in one of our playlists, but we will link it here. For me, this film, it was entertaining. It was fun, but I mean, it's kind of. I think Jason put it best. He said it's kind of a turn your brain off type of film, which is kind of what I was expecting, anyways. Coming into this film, I wasn't really expecting much. I mean, it did look from the trailers, it looked visually entertaining, and also the banter between Eddie and Venom looked like it was going to be entertaining as well. And obviously, I think all of us, I can speak for everyone. I wanted to see, of course, the battles between Venom and Carnage, of course, but it was fine. It was entertaining. It wasn't anything special.
Yeah, definitely a kind of just action. It was pretty funny, but plot and story and characters were kind of just like I didn't really care the whole time. So, but
Yeah, and
in the moment watching it, if you like you said, if you're not really thinking about the movie too hard, then yeah, it's an entertaining watch. And if
yeah,
that
and
some movies are fine just being like that. This one isn't like I'm so invested in these characters type of movie. So
Yeah,
you
and
know.
I personally thought the tone was a little bit all over the place. It was trying to be very comedic while trying to maintain its dark tone, and it just for me it didn't balance itself out properly. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought they kept the comedic aspect up pretty high, and I thought Venom himself was really funny. Actually, he had a lot of good lines. Um, but other than that, I mean, Woody Harrelson was had a pretty solid performance, but like the script didn't really do him, the most favors. But I thought he
yeah,
was good in what he was working with. So I mean,
and
I don't know. Yeah,
I thought Tom Hardy also gave a really good
yeah,
performance, and I thought he did a good job. And again, most of his banter, there were a couple of jokes I didn't think landed, but overall, I enjoyed his banter, and I enjoyed the little struggles between Venom and himself, where they didn't really see eye to eye on certain aspects that I felt could be as relatable as could be in terms of a human and alien relating. But yeah, I thought that was fine, and like I said, I wasn't crazy about the tone. I just felt it was a little all over the place with the comedic and the dark tone, and I really feel they made a little bit of a mistake making this film PG-13. I think it could have benefited from being an R-rated film. You could tell on certain choreography shots how they had to cut away when certain things were happening with both Venom and Carnage. But that's just my opinion. That's I think they could have benefited from an R rating, but yeah, and I know you're gonna already say that you're glad the runtime was so short, but for me, I felt this film was a little too short. I would have liked it to be spread out a little bit longer, but again, for this type of film, I get why you felt the way you did about the runtime.
yeah. I don't think we needed any more time. Like if everything was more interesting and then the storyline was a little bit
Fair enough.
more
Fair
like
enough.
I want to know what's going on. Speaking of which,
That's
there's a lot of conveniences in this movie that we can talk about in a second. But like
yeah. That's
they,
that's
they
a
kind of
total
they kind of sped things along seemingly on purpose, and I was fine
yeah.
with that.
That's a totally fair argument. Had things been definitely more dragged out and more interesting, absolutely, there's a fair argument to be made there. So I could totally relate to you there. But yeah, I think that's gonna kind of do it for our non-spoiler review. I think we and everyone else who is viewing this video kind of wants to get into the spoiler talk. So we are gonna get into spoiler talk, as I just mentioned. If for some reason you have not seen this film and haven't seen the mid-credit scene, we're gonna go into all that, and we don't want you to get spoiled. So if you don't want to get spoiled, come back and check this out after you've seen the film. If you do not care to get spoiled, then we'll be happy to spoil you right now. So Spider-Man is in the mid credits. Just throwing that out there. We'll get to that scene in a sec. I just wanted to have a little humor there, but yeah, no, I mean, just in terms, I was a little disappointed. Again, I know we just talked about the runtime, but I was a little disappointed. We only got one single fight between Venom and Carnage. I was hoping for at least two battles. I mean, but
I
I was
mean,
meh.
we only got one fight, but it was kind of an extended fight. Like, it was a good, like,
Yeah,
15 minutes,
yeah,
I'd say. So it was a
yeah.
pretty long fight, and there were, like, phases of the battle where, like,
Fair enough.
Carnage beat down Venom, and he was pretty much down for the count, and then Eddie, like, kind of talks him back into getting back up and all that. So there were different phases to the fight. So, yeah, I wouldn't have minded an earlier battle before this big one, but at least we still got a pretty big fight at the end.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you kind of put it in perspective there that because it was so long and extended, it was kind of kind of fits into your normal story fight where the villain usually beats up the hero in the first fight, and then the hero comes back for the second fight and usually beats the crap out of them in a heroic fashion. So I guess they turned, a two fighter into a one fight. So yeah, no, that makes sense. But just for me, I personally would have liked to have seen a second battle. I just, we've been waiting for Carnage for so long on the big screen. I personally would have liked another battle. But and obviously we know that the origin story was done differently. Of course, in Venom, he didn't get his powers from Spider-Man like in a cathedral, how he did like in the comics in Spider-Man 3, where Spider-Man is banging on the bell, and then parts of the symbiote comes down and hits Eddie Brock. So obviously the story was definitely told in a different fashion in terms of the origin from this one. And also in this one, in terms of how Cletus Cassidy got his origin, in terms of how he became Carnage, was a little bit different in the comics. In the comics is where he debuted, I believe, was 1991, and that was the Amazing Spider-Man number 344. And he was, I believe, he was cellmates with Eddie Brock on Rikers Island. It was not in San Quentin. And Eddie had been separated from the Venom symbiote, and what happened was the symbiote came to rescue Eddie from prison, and basically left an offspring of basically what became of Carnage, and it attached to Cletus in that. So this was definitely a different kind of origin where he kind of bit him with a little struggle in the prison. I mean, they still kept the prison integrity where it happens in prison, so they kept that portion of it, but it was a little bit different in terms of the origin. Definitely, I mean, I expected them to, of course, make a little change after we got the major different origin from the first Venom. So, I mean, I guess I felt it was necessary to keep it different in terms of that. And
Yeah,
obviously, Eddie wasn't in prison in this
I
one,
mean,
so.
I don't really know the whole backstory, but I didn't really understand like what happened in the movie. Like, yeah, he bit him, so what? There was just a little piece of venom that he ate, and it became Carnage. Like, I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I guess that's how it happened. He bit him, and because Eddie's blood is infused with the symbiote, a piece of that blood came into contact with his skin, so it absorbed into his blood and his system, and now he got a little Carnage in him.
But like, why was it a red one? Like, what was the difference? Like, I didn't really understand any of that. Like, he just became Carnage. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question, but
Like I said, there's a lot of conveniences in this movie. Some of which I'm fine with because it speeds things along. But like something like this, like I was totally like didn't understand it, but I was like, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
no, definitely a lot of major conveniences in this film for sure. Especially when Shriek. I mean, I get it that she saw there was a picture of Anne in Eddie's apartment, and she wanted, of course, to take her as a hostage because she's a loved one, of course, to Eddie. But she only sees the number like 1142 of the apartment or whatever the address is. But there's no street or anything like that. I was like, wait, how did she get the address there? I don't know. Whatever. Turn my brain off. I guess just she's got the address.
And like Carnage just uploads himself into the computer, and then automatically he's just like in government websites and can find the girl and like.
As I was watching that, I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, I know he's an alien and he's probably far more advanced than anything we are, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, we didn't see Venom swinging in the first Venom film, and unfortunately, that still takes place in this one. There is no swinging. He's still kind of jumping around buildings, and same with Carnage. He didn't really swing either. Actually, he didn't swing at all. But I think when we talk about the mid-credit scene, I think that is in our future at some point. But yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see that. I would have liked to, but it makes sense, of course, because not yet Spider-Man has entered into the picture rather with this Venom. So I guess it still makes sense that he hasn't started swinging yet. He hasn't gotten the idea for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something that I was necessarily looking for or like necessarily caring about. Like I said, I don't really have a huge backstory with Venom, but like, I think it kind of makes sense where, he has never really seen anyone do that. And if and when he sees Spider-Man doing it, then he'll imitate it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And let's really quickly, we kind of mentioned a little bit about the characters in the non-spoiler. What'd you think of Anne and Dan? I just kind of thought they were just there to service some plot.
They're completely throwaway.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
her only like semi good acting scene was like when she was like flirting with Venom when she was in the Asian lady. And
yeah, that was
for like 3 seconds, and then it's like
I mean,
Throw
her only purpose in the film was obviously to get Venom and Eddie reunited, and of
and to
course
be
to be a
captured.
hostage.
Yep.
Yeah, and was like, okay, complete throwaway character. Like, not really. I mean, not really. I mean, important, but you know what I mean. Just very throwaway.
Like honestly, I thought that the Asian lady that at the cashier like had more kind of like cared about her more than anybody else than any of the other
Yeah,
side
she had. Hey,
characters.
man, she provided good chocolate. You gotta care.
She was in two scenes. But the scene when Venom was in her was pretty hilarious. Almost
Yeah.
every scene with Venom was great. Like there was the one awkward one like in the club and that was whatever.
Yeah, that scene
But
kind of fell a little bit. That scene fell a little flat for me.
I mean they wanted to like show him vulnerable or
Yeah, no, I
with
mean,
his breakup
I
with Eddie.
yeah, I
But
totally get what they were. I totally get what they were going for, and just how emotional he felt too about the whole situation and how hurt he was by what Eddie said to him. So no, I totally get what they were going for. And, yeah, like you said, showing a vulnerable and emotional side to Venom. So I appreciated what they were going. It just again, it fell a little flat for me personally. But yeah,
I
no, and
mean
I yeah,
I was
sorry,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
I feel like we are talking a lot of shit on this movie, semi, but like I will say, I think I do like it better than the first one. Maybe solely because I feel like Venom is just in it from the start, and most of like him is really funny, and like I don't know, I was laughing almost throughout the whole movie. So
I did hear you. I did hear
I
you
just found
laughing a lot.
myself
Yeah.
liking like his some of his lines, and yeah, not every joke or something was amazing, but I really liked his character for the most part. Like he was the only likable
I'm
character I feel like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on what you just said in terms of if I liked it better than the first. I really haven't. I'm gonna be honest with everyone here. I have not watched the first Venom film since we saw it in theaters and we did our initial review. So that film is. I mean, I still remember the film. It's just. I mean, I think when did that film come out? 27,
Something like
28.
that.
Whenever. Yeah, a few years ago. So it's not fresh in my memory right now. But I do remember enjoying it a little more than a lot of other people liked it because I know a lot of people didn't care for it.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean,
To that,
obviously.
I'll clarify. Like, I don't really think either movie is very good, that great. Like, not terrible,
You're
but
just comparing them to each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, at least right now, and yeah, I actually haven't seen the first one in a while either. But I just remember in the theater not really enjoying it as much as this one, even though like, I knew going in I wasn't like, having high expectations,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think the movie met my expectations. So.
Yeah, well, that's I think the same for me with the first Venom film is it got trashed on Rotten Tomatoes, so I had the absolute lowest of expectations
Mhm.
going into that film. And I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. I mean, is
No,
it
no.
great? Hell no. Hell no, but it's
The
not
thing
that bad.
is, if you completely shut off your brain and don't care about these little things that we're talking about, like plot points and like the way things are working throughout the movie and what leads to what, then the movie's fine. It's entertaining. There's some comedy. There's some good
Oh yeah.
action. But like,
Yeah.
but if you don't shut your brain off, if you're actually trying to analyze the movie, then it's not that good.
Oh
So.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna despise this film for sure. Absolutely, that's a good point. And I did, even though I was complaining a little bit about the runtime, how quick this was. I will say to the benefit of this film is it, even though the pacing is a little bit off here and there, the film did feel like it was over pretty quickly. I was like, wow, it's already been an hour and a half. That
Yeah,
was
you
that was
get
really
in,
quick.
get out, move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I also felt too that that was kind of a big problem for me is because this film didn't feel as big in scope. So like even when we got to the epic final battles, like it just didn't feel like the stakes were there as much. It didn't feel like like these normal superhero films where like everything is at stake. And I'm not saying like end of the world type of scenario or something like that. I just mean like where we're really invested and really like, oh my god, like is this it? Like I just never had those types of feelings when I was watching this.
I mean, I think we are a little spoiled these days when it comes to
That's true.
these comic book
Very true.
movies because I mean Marvel and also to an extent like Dark Knight and all these other ones have have taken these comic book movies and elevated them to a higher level of expectation.
Yeah.
So just because it's not meeting those expectations, we're kind of
Yeah.
talking down on it a little bit. But that I guess the
Yeah.
bar has been raised, so it is what it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's a good point. We also really got to quickly mention Detective Patrick Mulligan. We saw that we did see him flashback with Shriek and with Detective Mulligan. I thought that was a nice touch because I did notice really early on that he was wearing the cochlea implant where he was, deaf in one ear. And I'm gonna admit I didn't pick up on them. Like, oh yeah, he's the cop that got that Shriek was did her, used her powers on, and basically blew out his eardrums, and he couldn't hear anymore, and he's the one who shot her. I really didn't put that two and two together. I usually
Yeah,
do with
I didn't
scenes
either.
like.
I
But
didn't either.
I did notice that cochlea implant for him being deaf in one ear. So I don't know why I wasn't putting the two and two together, but I thought that was a nice touch. We did see too a moment where they were fighting in the cathedral, and obviously Shriek. We thought she'd killed him, which it looked like she did. But I guess Carnage had put a little bit of his symbiote, some of it into Detective Mulligan, and even in the comics, he first actually debuted as an offspring of Carnage, and became known as what's called Toxin. And Toxin is like the third biggest symbiote in the comics after Venom. And Carnage, so he's basically an offspring, and I believe that was in 2004's Venom versus Carnage. And so, by the way, he opened his eyes, and with the blue coloring and all that, he's definitely going to become Toxin in the third Venom film. So
Yeah, I was gonna
it'll be
actually ask you
interesting.
about that because I didn't necessarily know what happened there either. So I'm
Yeah,
glad you
so
clarified.
yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see if they're gonna, rub Venom and Toxin off each other. Are they gonna be, foes, or are they gonna be, partners, or what are they gonna do?
Well,
So
they've
the
kind of
sky's the
set up
limit.
at least the character. Like the cop doesn't really like Eddie
Eddie.
already, so like
Yeah.
it's kind of a setup, semi setup there. So
Yeah, I would probably see them. I agree with you. I'd probably see them more as enemies for sure. So yeah, absolutely.
But
And I
I
mean,
rather than seeing Venom go against someone else, I want to see. Obviously, we can talk about it now. The
the
Spider-Man connection.
mid-credit scene.
I want to see
Yeah.
Venom and Spider-Man, like But I don't know if that's going to be in a Spider-Man movie or in a Venom movie
All right.
or
Well,
what. But
this is going to be a little hard to talk about. Just so everyone knows, Jason has not seen the trailer for Spider-Man: No Way Home, and also
all
too,
right,
he
I'm
when
gonna
we
take
were
my
in.
headphones off and you can say what you want to
No,
say.
no, 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 no. It's fine. I'm just letting everyone know Jason has not seen that trailer,
Yeah, I don't
so
want to
be
watch it
careful.
because I want to.
Be care. Yeah, be careful what you say in the comments.
No, no, say
But
whatever you want to say. I'll let Andrew handle the comments for this one.
Okay, okay. So whatever you guys want to say. But basically, what I was gonna say is, I'm not gonna go into full detail here because I don't want to spoil anything for Jason. But obviously, we all know what happens in that trailer, which I'm not going to mention to Jason. And from what happens in the
Something
trailer,
with the multiverse. I can pick that up.
yes, and that's what happened with Venom, and that's why he's in the universe he's in with Peter and Spider-Man. Peter slash Spider-Man rather. And I gotta say, when our theater just completely flipped out and went crazy, and
Yeah.
then when he licked the TV, like how we get it in the comics, and also the animated series, like, oh my god, I was in nerd heaven. Like that was my favorite scene in the whole thing, and I know it wasn't even related to the film; it was more of just a setup. But just to see that he's finally in the same universe as Spider-Man with Tom Holland's Peter Parker,
So
it's so exciting.
So I
Yeah.
don't know if it's something you can say to me or not, but like, apparently Venom already knows who Spider-Man is, or so I don't know.
Because it was revealed in at the end of Far From Home that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Remember,
Right, but what does Venom have any connection with him? Like, how does Venom have any connection with him?
well, I mean, right now they do, I mean, in from the origin film in 2018's Venom, there is no connection to Spider-Man. It's just obviously he just saw him on TV and says, I forgot what the
He
line
says
he
like
said to him.
that guy or something like. But what does Venom care who this guy is? Like, I don't know. Unless it's
I
something you
don't know,
can't
dude.
say.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see, but no, I mean, it's not something I can't see. I mean,
Because
I don't know
it
what they're.
seemed to me like Venom saw him on TV and was like, "Oh, this guy, like, I know him and I want to hurt him or something like that." Like, I don't know. Like, it seemed like he knew who he was, and like he's like, "I need to go get this guy," type of thing.
Well, I mean, there's no way he knows. I mean, other than just seeing him on the news, there's no way he knows who he is.
Then
This
why
is
does
his
he
first time.
lick him with his tongue?
Well, I mean, he maybe Venom is bi and thinks he's very good looking. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
but
we were talking about it a little bit right in the movie. Like, Venom was about to show Eddie Brock a whole bunch of stuff like from his millennia of existing or whatever, and then right in that moment just happens to be when the multiverse switches or whatever. So like,
yeah,
one, I kind of wanted to see what Venom was going to show Eddie Brock, which we didn't get to see. But two, it just happened to be really, really convenient timing. Not
yeah.
convenient because it didn't do anything other than stop us from seeing it, but like it just happened to be right at that moment.
Well, I'm glad it happened because I was really. I mean, it would have been cool to see what. Maybe we'll get to see in Venom 3 what he was going to show, and we'll see. but it's just really cool to just visually see that he's finally in the
Oh yeah.
MCU or the Sony Spider-Verse, whatever you want to call it, and that he's finally going to be with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So that's really cool and that's really exciting. Again, to your point, what their connection is, we're gonna have to wait and see because we've only seen them in these two films. So right now they don't have the normal connection that they had
Right.
in Spider-Man 3 or in the comics. So there's no, I don't know if it's hatred of, hey, this guy's on TV and he's all powerful and all this. I want to be like this guy, or I want to fight this guy to show the world I'm better. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. It's gonna be interesting to see. Is he gonna be in Spider-Man No Way Home? I don't know. Maybe
Probably
we'll
not.
see.
But
But I mean, obviously they set it up now to where it wouldn't surprise. But just so you know, if he is in Spider-Man No Way Home, that would not shock or
I
surprise
mean,
me
it'd be
in any
cool.
way.
I'd be down to see that. I'm also looking forward to seeing Spider-Man and Venom like have a back and forth, like, because I think they're both pretty funny and quippy. So I'd be interested to see how that would go.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good point. Absolutely, definitely going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also thought too. One more point I wanted to make too. When Detective Mulligan kind of turns into just we get that little hint that he's becoming toxin. It was in a cathedral, of course, that we saw. I thought that was interesting because, of course, in the comics, where does Eddie Brock, and obviously in
In the
the movie
cathedral.
and the animated series, he becomes in a cathedral. I thought that was a nice little symbolism and a nice little touch there. I really actually enjoyed that. That's all I kept on thinking about. I really wish they had not killed off Cletus Cassidy and Car. I kind of want to see more of this character, but
They got their one
depending
F
on
bomb
what,
in.
yeah, that was a great line. I'll even admit, but depending on what's happening now with the multiverse, I'm hoping that possibly this character can maybe come back. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I'm hoping because I definitely don't want to see the end of Carnage. I'd like to see more than one film of Carnage.
And this is totally like not having to do with anything or matter really, but I feel like in the end credits of the first Venom movie, didn't Cletus Cassidy have like really curly hair, like almost like a Jufro?
Yeah, it was.
I guess they
But
ditched that look. I don't know. It's just something I thought about. But
well, yeah. I was one of the people. I mean, I didn't like run on the internet or say. I think even on a review, I just said it. I mean, you might have pointed it out too, but I just said it kind of looked a little ridiculous. But
I was just wondering because like I just thought about that, and then he totally has different hair in this, but you know he looked fine in this one, so I don't know.
huh?
Just not that
We
it
all,
matters. It's just something I thought about.
well, Jason, you have different hair than from a couple of years ago, and you can check out our YouTube videos. We all get
But
different hair
was
looks.
this wasn't a couple years difference though, like in the movie world,
Well, even if it was a week difference, you could still get a haircut, dude.
I suppose. Not in prison.
Yeah. Either way, I like this
Anyways,
hair. I like this hair better in this one. I'll just
yeah,
say that.
me too, me too.
So I'm glad they ditched the look.
Woody Harrelson
what they did.
was fine in this movie. Like he was not bad. Like
Yeah, it's
nothing
just
against his performance.
yeah. His him and Tom Hardy and the actress who and the shop that provides Venom the chocolate. I thought they were honestly. I thought they were fine. I also thought the one who played Shriek. I thought she had her moments too.
Yeah,
Naomi Harris. I thought she did
yeah,
fine.
she
She's
looked
a
cool
good
and
actress.
like she had
Yeah.
cool like faces and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was more had to do with the script than the acting, in my opinion. But yeah,
To me, like to sum up my entire experience, like it's entertaining, it's funny. I just didn't care very much, and like the characters
yeah,
and the story didn't make me care.
yeah. I would say that's a good way I would put it too. And the character development, it's not really there.
Yeah.
It's not really expanded upon. The film's really short. In my opinion, too. Again, this is just me. I really feel this film could have benefited from an R rating, just a little more. I think they could have gone. I think they really should have explored more of the horror side of this film. I really think like when we
Could have
see
been cool,
Carnage,
yeah.
yeah, this film really had the potential to be something really special. That's why, even though again I still thought it was entertaining and fun, I get a little bit, kind of just frustrated when I see the potential that really was there, and I think it could have been something good, and they really could have balanced those tones out between the comedic and the dark tones, and with an R rating. But hey, that's just me. But anyways, let us know in the comments. Have you guys seen this film? If you have, what did you think of this film? Did you like it better than the first one? What are you looking forward to seeing with Venom and Spider-Man? What did you think of that mid-credit scene? We'd love to know what all your comments are. Please let us know down below. We are going to be doing more Marvel videos. We got, of course, the Eternals is coming out next month, and we might be doing some more videos in regards to Venom. So if you don't want to miss those, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification button so you don't miss anything. And until then, we will see you guys next time.